How does Sui differentiate itself between those different layers?
Sui is competing with Google, Amazon, and other stacks for agreement. Sui will have by far the most amount of wallets than any other ecosystem in the world. And separately, our technology is in a different league. The first 10,000 are going to receive an amazing set of perks. You can have real Web 2 experiences organized by a blockchain at scale. You can do over 290,000 transactions per second.
What are the major narratives that you see that will take over in the next 6 to 12 months?
This is a 10x improvement on developer experience versus Solana. So Sui is already built for scale now. Sui is going to be the best place to trade multi-chain.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is EAK TV alongside Crypto Slate here, and I'm delighted to have Edenyi with us, the co-founder of Miston Labs. It is day one here at Sui Builder House. This place looks beautiful. I understand you've got loads of events lined up, big party tomorrow. How are you doing today?
Doing really great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. So guys, it's like 9 a.m. on day two at Token 2049, just before the Sui Builder House kicks off. The excitement is building. And so we're going to talk all things Sui for the next 15 minutes or so. And so
my favorite topic.
Let's get into it. Let's go into it. So I just read your Substack this morning. It was very interesting, over my eggs and bacon. And you talk about the internet coordination layer that Sui wants to be. So for those of us that haven't read that Substack and wants to understand exactly what you mean by that, could you dive into a bit more detail?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we got involved in crypto as a business for our company was because we saw that blockchains effectively have an amazing opportunity to create a new layer for the internet for agreement. And people have just been focused on just building, really an accounting system for holding balances. And that's interesting, but we think there's a much more nuanced opportunity in building an actual layer where if we have a world where we have billions of assets and billions of users, how do we enable people to coordinate these assets together and use them in online commerce and other forms of use cases at scale? And I think crypto for so long has been focused on a narrow element of what's been possible with DeFi. We have a grander vision. We think the internet as a whole does need that layer for agreement, and that opportunity itself presents itself as a $1 trillion opportunity. I wrote a very detailed Substack, as you mentioned, in regards to that tries to break it down as to how the internet was built and how the gaps that exist today, and how Sui potentially fills those gaps. And hopefully through the Builder House today, we'll start to explain how some of these processes are starting to come to fruition.
So, I know Sui is obviously a very exciting project. There's lots of great developers and great projects being built on it, but there's a lot of competition. Ton is massive. They've got 900 million users on Telegram. Base, everyone's talking about that, a great on-chain summer. How does Sui, and obviously Solana, has been big since 2021. How does Sui differentiate itself between those different layers?
Yeah, I mean, Sui isn't just a blockchain. Sui is a global coordination layer for the internet. So our target addressable market is way bigger than Solana, Ton, and all these other platforms. And separately, our technology is in a different league. So Sui doesn't have a maximum throughput. So Sui can do, in a minimal configuration, a mainnet can do over 290,000 transactions per second. You had 8 times the hardware, you get 8 times the throughput. No increase in latency. Transactions on Sui are already half a second in finality. It's already the fastest by an order of magnitude. So Sui is already built for scale now. It's not promising scale in 2, 3, 4, 5 years or a window that never exists. So in terms of the technology stack, it's already way advanced of its competitors. And separately, Sui is competing with Google, Amazon, and other stacks for agreement. What we're not saying is that everybody's going to take their data and move it onto the blockchain. We think there'll be a subset of use cases where you need finality and you need coordination, and Sui is going to be there just to take that opportunity out of the hands of the big incumbents there.
So I was watching one of your podcasts late last night, and you mentioned that the founder of SolAna, I think you said, tried out Sui after being on Solana for a few years, and he said it was drastically better.
Yeah, so Rooter from SolAna, he's been building on Solana for quite a while. Yeah. And when we built Sui, one of the things that Sam and the team were obsessed about was the developer experience. We wanted it to be a first-class dev experience across the board. And it makes us really happy when a developer comes to us and say, this is a 10x improvement on developer experience versus Solana. Devs are learning to program in Sui within 3 to 4 days. That is game-changing. The fact that you as a dev can pick up a programming language and become adept on it very, very quickly, that is unlike any other platform in the market.
So I really like the example that you mentioned about how you can do multiple transactions, like booking a flight, booking a hotel, like all in one go. Could you? Like, it sounded like a Web3 Zapier kind of transaction.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So imagine today you want to buy something on the internet. You want to buy your airline ticket. Once you buy your airline ticket, you also want to book the hotel. After you book the hotel, you want to pay for the things you want to do while you're at the destination. And at the same time, maybe you want to do some currency conversion to make sure when you land, you have some cash in hand. Now, on the internet today, it's very difficult to do that one by one. You either need to find an aggregator website that doesn't give you the best deals, but generally, it's impossible to try and do all these things at the same time and make sure that you can do them. And if any one of them fail, it rolls back. Sui, as we always said, the goal is you have an internet where everything is going digital. Airline tickets are going digital. Point systems are going digital. Money is digital. Everything we've just talked about is pretty much represented in a digital form. With Sui, you now have really APIs that are final, right? Like I can, without writing a single smart contract, I can conjure a number of these interactions together in one transaction on Sui and submit it as a single transaction and make it final. If anything fails, it rolls back. So now you can have real Web 2 experiences organized by a blockchain at scale. So I imagine new types of shopping experiences are going to be built, new types of aggregation services are going to be built, new types of commerce applications that users can effectively interact with are going to be now possible that weren't possible before. And this is something very unique to Sui. No other blockchain allows you to do this, and let alone do this at a scale that's never been seen before. So hence why we say Sui is in a different league when it comes to the market it's going after, rather than just a traditional crypto market.
Love that. So something that I find quite interesting is obviously your background with Meta. Because, Meta, as you know, Google, like all of those big Web 2 companies are almost like the enemy for Web 3. And then you obviously come onto the good side, I would say.
Yeah.
And really gone in with it with Sui. So at what point in your career at Meta did you realize that the way that they were doing things in a centralized way was against your ethos and your...
I mean, it actually started when I was at JP Morgan as an investment bank building trading systems, and I saw the complicated stack that we had, all from submitting a trade to when it goes final and it gets reconciled. It was all these crazy big systems that was unnecessary once I realized Bitcoin was a thing. And I thought, if we had a world where we can build a single ledger for everybody, we can build the most advanced and most performance systems in the world. It just so happens that Bitcoin ended up being slow. And while we're at Meta, we're trying to build a single agreement layer for making sending money as easy as email. And it didn't work at Facebook, just quite frankly, because of Facebook's background and history. But also, we weren't going as big as a view of what we're trying to do at Miston Labs. We're trying to rebuild the internet, whereas at Facebook, we're trying to really build just a way to send money as easy as email. But at Miston, we've made that possible. You can use ZK Login, use your email as a way to sign in and actually create a wallet address and start sending money to anybody you want as easy as possible. But now you also have a layer that doesn't have a max capacity. Just like our experience in building search infra at Facebook and Google, we brought that expertise into building a layer one. And our layer one has the same characteristics that you'd have as centralized services, but in fully decentralized sphere. So you don't have max capacity, you can add more hardware and increase capacity. It's literally built to be global scale now. So very, very excited about that. Hence why we say Sui is in a different league when it comes to the market. The SuiPlay will be the flagship hardware with a world-class operating system. I think by far is going to drive DeFi up to a level it's never seen before.
What's the most exciting projects you think right now that are being built on Sui?
Sui is going to be the best place to trade multi-chain.
And what is your predictions for this bull market that we're in?
So I think the bull cycle will happen, leading towards the end of this year.
If you could describe Sui in 3 words, what would it be?
The best platform in the world.
So something that I'm really excited about is the SuiPlay0X1. As a gamer, it looks great. I've already put my pre-order in. I think you're around 2,000 at the moment, right?
Yes.
What is the end goal for that? Like, how many handheld devices are you aiming to sell?
So the SuiPlay0X1, if you imagine what Google has the Android OS, and then it releases a Pixel device as a marquee flagship device that everyone runs after. Yeah. It's the same thing with the SuiPlay for us. The SuiPlay will be the flagship hardware. It will be great price, amazingly good hardware with a with a world-class operating system, and the operating system, the Playtron OS, is going to be on multiple devices. We hope people build many types of handheld devices. The great thing about the operating system is it's deeply integrated with the Sui ecosystem. So your wallet will be a Sui wallet. The ability to transact will be very, very low. You have the ability to use digital currency within apps. We announced Square Enix partnership recently, where you'll be able to buy games such as Final Fantasy or other compatible games on the SuiPlay0X1. So you benefit from the flexibility and the low cost of Sui, and without throwing wallets and crypto in people's faces. So I think you have Sui wallets where gaming is going to go. And I think our view is by 2030, the majority of games will have wallet integration. And we think Sui will have by far the most amount of wallets than any other ecosystem in the world.
So, at the moment, I think pre-orders are just available on your website. But, I've seen that you're integrating with Steam and other like mainstream gaming applications. So are you planning to put this into like stores in the real world, shall we say?
So the first stage is getting it out to our early adopters.
Yeah.
And we already have a number of manufacturers that are going to be building their own devices using the Play OS. So I think you're going to find Sui in a lot more devices than the SuiPlay0X1.
Okay, nice. Okay, so what are the first 10,000 people that buy the OX1? They get a special gift, special
So
mints?
interestingly, the NFT, when you buy the SuiPlay0X1, you create a Playtron account. That Playtron account is a ZK login account, which is a Sui account automatically on chain. And with that, you get a soul-bound NFT. That is your ID with a Playtron ecosystem for life. So that it would always be an incrementing account system over time. And the great thing about that is the first 10,000 are going to receive an amazing set of perks that we can't tell people now about. We hope to release that over time. But, I think the first 1,600 received gold NFTs. And then the next are going to receive a different type of NFT. And over time, they'll start to receive some benefits from the Sui ecosystem that I can't go too much into at this moment in time. But I'll save it for our partners to announce those very soon.
I saw that you're accepting payment in Sol, ETH, and Sui.
Correct. Yeah.
Why Sol?
So we believe Sol and ETH represent some of the most exciting ecosystems that we're very well aligned with. And over time, we'll probably add other ecosystems. Interestingly, we're probably seeing 50% orders are in Sui, 25% in Sol, 25% in ETH. In fact, I checked this morning, it was actually 33% all across the board for all three. Yeah. So it's an interesting shift. You're seeing a lot of Sol Sol ecosystem participants joining the Sui movement, and the same with ETH. So,
okay, so obviously, I think you've been into Bitcoin since 2012. So you have a lot of experience, obviously, with the markets and the narratives. With this bull run, let's say, about to take off, hopefully, what are the major narratives that you see that will take over in the next 6 to 12 months?
So I think crypto needs to actually start delivering on value, right? Like we do a narrative thing over and over again. It's AI. It's restaking, it's this and that. Honestly, I think for us, we're going to see the emergence of mass consumer adoption on Sui that you've never seen before in Web3. And I think looking in early next year, the amount of things we have in the pipeline for Sui is going to set Sui apart fundamentally from any other blockchain. So we're going to be focused on adding real value to the ecosystem, adding real users who have real wallets, who have real money to spend, and bring them to the ecosystem. I think gaming by far is going to drive DeFi up to a level it's never seen before. And that's the stuff that matters. I think DeFi isn't a product, DeFi is infrastructure. And crypto stops short when it treats DeFi as a product. So I think we want to get to a world where DeFi is really a piece of infrastructure that powers, billions of dollars, billions of users, applications that they use on a day-to-day basis. So I think if I had to summarize it, the narrative needs to be actual real users at scale operating in the Web3 ecosystem, using real money to do commerce and gaming at a scale that they've never seen before.
So is it mainly the SuiPlay0X1 that you think is going to be driving all those millions of users, or is there other things as well?
So there are a multitude of games coming onto Sui, and a multitude of experiences from commerce, gaming, and finance that are going to be running on Sui, and we announced some of them today as well. So there'll be a lot of good news there.
Okay, amazing. All right, so what's the most exciting projects you think right now that are being built on Sui?
So one of the things I love on Sui that I'm seeing is actually aggregators. I think DEX aggregators on Sui are very powerful. Because of PTBs, I can create very complicated transactions that allows me to get an optimal trading position. That's just not possible in any other chain. And with the advent of Squid, which is from Axelar launching a cross-chain DEX on Sui, Sui is going to be the best place to trade multi-chain by far. And that's going to be running on Deepbook, which is also on-chain central limit order book running on Sui. So with things like PTB, programmable transaction blocks, that lets you chain up to 1,024 transactions at any given time in a single transaction. And then you have Deepbook, a protocol that's the fastest on-chain central limit order book in the world. You're going to be able to do finance at a whole new level. It's not been possible before. Another thing, I'm very much in love with what the guys at Studio Mirai and Animal Labs are doing. They're taking NFTs to a whole new level. Studio Mirai has NFTs that have 4K images stored on chain. All the attributes are on chain. You can color the NFTs and change the attributes over time. Whereas you also have Animal Labs where you can construct the NFT directly on chain. So I can put the hat on, I can put on different armor, change the composition of my character, and take that into a game. That's never been possible on any other chain, because you can actually store the real images and the assets on chain rather than point to an IPFS or services like that. One other thing I'm very excited about that we're going to be announcing more about today is Walrus. Walrus is a global storage layer for the internet, and we think that's going to really change how we think about storage in a whole new world. And I think with that being powered and orchestrated by Sui, it tells of a story of how Sui is going to be this new global coordination layer with a whole heap of use cases to boot.
So look, I mean, it all sounds extremely exciting. Obviously, I'm very excited about what you've got built with building, but obviously building comes with its challenges. So what are the main challenges that you're facing right now as Sui to get this global adoption?
So if you think Sui's been live for just over a year, it's already number 2 ecosystem behind Solana and non-EVM. I think Sui's doing really, really well. What we want to do, as I mentioned, is mass adoption. And we launched a service called Inoki at Basecamp this year. And the goal of Inoki is to streamline the onboarding of devs into the Web3 space by allowing them to use Sui as a layer for agreement without having to worry about smart contracts. And we're starting to see a good take-up of builders on Inoki services. So I think really it's going to be keep on focusing on our developer experience and allow developers to build compelling use cases that has just not been possible in Web 2 or Web 3. So if it's any challenge, it's really keep growing developer adoption. I think if you look at the Electric Capital report recently, Move is already 10% of the Web3 ecosystem in just a year. And I think we're only going to see that increase over time. We want to grow the pie rather than cannibalize the existing Web3 ecosystem. We want to bring net new devs into Web3, and I think we're doing that.
And what is your predictions for this bull market that we're in? How long do you think it's going to last? And where do you think it's going to end?
I wish I had a crystal ball, but I do think with the elections being over, there would I think be certainly less animosity towards crypto, and I think it's great for everybody. I think having a bit more clarity from a regulatory perspective, but at least less animosity towards the crypto ecosystem would allow developers and builders to really focus on the most important things, namely bringing value to the ecosystem. So I think the bull cycle will happen, leading towards the end of this year after the elections, and leading us towards the majority of next year as well.
Okay, well, look, Adenye, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got a keynote speech coming up. Let's just wrap this up with, if you could describe Sui in 3 words, what would it be?
The best platform in the world.
Oh, best platform in the world. Well, thank you, Adenye. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And we'll see you again next time. Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.